Okay, have you ever heard of a startup barely 2 years old that's suddenly worth billions and billions of dollars? It sounds crazy, but that's exactly what's happening right now in the world of AI. Today, we're going to dive deep into the story of a company called Lovable and its absolutely staggering new valuation. Let's get right into it.
All right, here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at that massive valuation number. Then, we're going to meet the company that's making all the headlines. After that, we'll unpack their secret sauce, something they call vibe coding. Then we'll chart their absolutely explosive growth. And finally, we'll zoom out and see how this all fits into the bigger picture, the great AI gold rush.
So, Section 1, that unbelievable valuation. It really all starts with this one number, a number that's sending shockwaves through the entire tech industry.
And there it is, $6.6 billion. That is the rumored new valuation for a Swedish AI startup you've probably never heard of, called Lovable. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. This isn't some company that's been around for decades. We're talking about a brand new player in the game.
Right? That's the question on everyone's mind. How on earth does a company get this big, this fast? To really get it, we need to meet the people behind the numbers.
Okay, so let's pull back the curtain and meet Lovable. Who are they, where did they come from, and what makes them so special? So the company was founded just last year, in 2023, by two guys named Anton Osika and Fabian Heyin, and they're based out of Stockholm, Sweden. Now, they work in this super new field called vibe coding. You've probably never heard that term before, so let's dig into what it actually is.
All right, Section 3. What in the world is vibe coding? This is the core idea, the technology that's powering Lovable's insane success. And honestly, it's a concept that could completely change how software gets made.
So here's the deal with vibe coding. You basically just describe an idea for an app or a website. You just type it out in plain English, you give it the vibe, and the AI, it just builds it for you. It writes all the complicated code so you don't have to. Why is that such a game changer? It's simple. It means anyone, and I mean anyone, can be a creator.
You know, the process looks almost too simple. You just say what you want, the AI does all the heavy lifting in the background, and then, poof, your project is ready to go. This accessibility, this ease of use is a huge, huge part of why so many people are flocking to their platform.
And are people using it? Oh yeah, get this. As of November 2025, Lovable said that 100,000 projects were being created on its platform every single day. That is a level of adoption that is just bonkers, and it's the rocket fuel behind their story of hypergrowth.
So let's look at how all this adds up. Section 4 is where we put some hard numbers to this incredible momentum, and it is pretty wild.
Check this out. In July of 2025, the company was already worth a massive $1.8 billion. But then, just 5 months later, in December, that valuation more than tripled to $6.6 billion. That kind of jump and that short a time, it's just staggering. And this timeline for 2025 just puts things into warp speed. They raise a ton of money in July, announce a massive, massive revenue stream in November, and then boom, they get a blockbuster new valuation just a month later in December. It's just one huge milestone after another. But this right here is the stat that just breaks my brain. In late 2024, Lovable was making about $1 million a year in recurring revenue. That's fantastic for a new company. But less than a year later, that number grew 200 times to $200 million. That's not just growth, that is full-on hypergrowth. Now, it's really easy to see this and think it's just a one-off story about one lucky company. But the crucial thing to understand is that it's not. To really get what's going on, we have to zoom out and look at the bigger picture, the AI gold rush. You don't see this kind of explosion without some serious money fueling the fire. Lovable is backed by some of the biggest names in venture capital from the US, like Accel and Khosla Ventures. Plus, you've got founders from other huge European tech successes pouring their money in too. This is the smart money, and it's all chasing this massive new opportunity. And you can see just how big that opportunity is. While Lovable's $6.6 billion valuation is enormous, they're playing in a field of giants, mostly based in the US. You've got companies like Anisphere, Vercel, Replit, all valued in the billions. Lovable is a huge European contender in a space that is absolutely on fire. So, why does any of this matter to you? Because we are literally watching the birth of a brand new industry right before our eyes. The idea of an AI writing computer code isn't sci-fi anymore. It's a multi-billion-dollar business that's changing the very nature of software development. And as all this investment cash pours in, the race is on to see who will own the future. And that leaves us with one final, really fascinating question to chew on. If the hard, tedious work of writing thousands of lines of code is handled by an AI, what does that free up human creativity to actually do? As AI becomes the builder, what incredible new worlds are we going to dream up next?